Good morning, everybody. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, anybody listening online. This is Taos County Board of Commission meetings. It's a special meeting, Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. The time is 9:01, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you call a roll, please?
Chair Romero,
Present.
Vice Chair Mascareñas,
Present.
Commissioner Romero,
That would be Miguel. Yeah.
Commissioner Vihil,
Present.
Commissioner Brush,
Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do have a quorum, so we will proceed. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I'll go ahead and lead that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico as the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Thank you. We move next to the approval of the agenda. It's a short agenda. This is an online meeting to approve the tax rates for the coming year. So commissioners,
Mr. Chair, I move approval of today's agenda as presented.
we have a motion by Commissioner Brush,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Mascareñas. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes, present. Yes.
Commissioner Vihil,
Yes.
Commissioner Brush,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascareñas,
Yes.
Chair Romero.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And we do have a public comments item on the agenda. Is there anyone online that would like to speak? Apparently not. Thank you. We'll move then to the item 7, which is department matters. This is discussion, consideration, decision regarding the approval of the 2024 property tax rates. Maria Dimas, County Assessor, and I think online we have with us Christina and Daniel.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you have a presentation for us?
Yes, what I wanted to say was, first of all, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We are here before you today to request approval of the 2024 property tax rates. I know included in your packet, you received a comparison of the 2023 and 2024 rates. There were slight increases in most districts, the highest being in the Peñasco area. I did speak with Janice Duran yesterday. She's the business manager of the Peñasco Independent Schools, and she did confirm the increase. The increase was due to a school bond that was passed last November to make school improvements in Peñasco. Pretty much we stand for any questions you have, and we'd appreciate your approval of the rates.
Okay, commissioners, any questions for the assessor? Commissioner Brush, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Christina and Danielle, for being here this morning. And that was actually your answer to the questions about the school bond and Peñasco affecting the rates, so I appreciate that. My question is maybe like more of an overall question, and it maybe is for another conversation because I know our agenda item is just approving rates, but I noticed like right at the very beginning, right at the top of the documents you shared with us in our packet, that we're losing some value on the non-residential, I think it was. Yeah, we're losing some value there, and I'm just wondering if you could help us understand why that might be going in that direction.
Sure. So what looks like a value loss is actually our assessment of an exempt structure. We actually reappraised the Taos High School, and that led to a huge change in our valuation for Woodin, I believe. We also had a solar farm that was basically shifted over from real property to business personal, or essentially assessed rather. And then a couple other school permits that we picked up that we basically added to the exempt value of the county, and that kind of led to a decrease in value. Well, of an appearance of a decrease in value, right? We didn't lose value, we picked up more exempt value. And so there wasn't actually a decrease in that, the normal sense, but rather an increase in exempt value.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from other commissioners?
I have a question.
Commissioner Vehil, go ahead.
Yes. And once again, I want to thank Christina and Danielle for being here. Thank you for the analysis. It really helps to have that comparison. And also appreciate the fact that you did check into whether that increase in Penasco was accurate. And so my question on the tax exempt, and I totally understand what you were referencing. And so that does make sense to me, as you're having to pick up all tax exempt properties and then turn around and exempt them because there's a requirement from the assessor to do that. Was that also done in all areas, or you're just finding, are you like starting I'm just trying to understand whether or not we're going to see that in all districts going forward.
So that was a result of a couple of permits. So there's a few building permits, and so that was what kind of prompted us as we're kind of working to catch up on our permits. That one had been outstanding, and when we visited the property, we realized that our assessment of it was woefully out of date, and so we updated it, and that led to pretty significant increase in exempt properties. So we are still working through our reappraisal plan. We're kind of in phase one of it, where we're looking at certain properties within the town, but not all of them. And at the moment, it doesn't include schools. And then Red River to follow with more commercial properties in town later in probably first quarter of next year. So we're still on course with that, but yeah, this was triggered by permits rather than reappraisal efforts.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Commissioner Brush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thanks you guys again for the explanation, because I think you're like, maybe what you just said, Danielle, about the work that's going on per the plan in Red River, because I noticed that the increase there was pretty small. Then I wonder if like the way that the maintenance plan is going to be continued to work on, like, will affect that, or if the exemptions, because like, what I noticed is that in Penasco, we seem to be losing a little bit of value, and in Red River, the increase was smaller than what I expected, but maybe my expectations are off. Could totally be the case.
So it's I guess, set a few expectations for that, and I apologize. This format tends to make me less formal, so I apologize for any lack of formality. But you can think of it essentially in three phases of the reappraisal for this year. Our first phase we're currently in, and that involves the reappraisal of short-term rentals in the town of Taos, both condos and other structures. There could be apartments or single-family residences. All dispensaries are being reappraised. All building permits are being done. All ag properties are being reviewed. And so that's kind of phase one of reappraisal efforts this year. Phase two is the entirety of Red River, and we're hoping to start that at the beginning of October. And then following that, either at the beginning of December or the beginning of January, depending how the winter is, we'll kind of shift back to the town of Taos and start looking at select commercial properties that weren't already reviewed as part of our permits or any other kind of triggering factors. So we're still on pace as far as what we're doing, but we haven't started Red River yet, which is why you haven't seen that change. That's still to come in, I guess, phase two of our reappraisal efforts this year.
Thank you. That is quite helpful. Appreciate it.
Any other questions, commissioners? If not, I do have a couple of questions. Christina or Daniel, if you could kind of give us a little bit more of a summary of what was the net taxable value for the county this year as opposed to last year? What was the difference? And maybe explain how, if you could explain how different municipalities, entities are affected because of their jurisdiction. And then finally, the one mill levy for the hospital, the status of that, and is it ongoing? Will it expire? There's about 3 questions there, but go ahead.
Okay, so I think at the top of the analysis, you guys had the total taxable value. So for 2024, it was, is it 1.8 billion? Okay, so yeah, and then for 2023, it was 1.7. So I think the difference between the two was 47,580,491. And I think a lot of that was for this year was it in the Ski Valley that we picked up a lot this year? or-
Yeah, so about 84 million full and about 20 some taxable in the Ski Valley, and then just regular kind of reappraisal efforts. So significant increase, still pretty high we had, but yeah, so obviously there's an increase almost every year. There will be an increase, and this one kind of follows the existing trend line that's been established starting probably 2019, where we're kind of picking up a little bit more value. Regarding the hospital rate,
This is the last year. This is the last year for the mill rate for the hospital. I did talk to Paula earlier in the year, and she said this is the last year that they'll collect it on property taxes. And it's up to the hospital if they want to go out and ask for the voters to renew that mill. I don't know if they're going to do that or not. We haven't heard from the hospital. But this is the last year that they'll collect property taxes for them.
Okay, I think that provides more clarification. Commissioner Behiel, please.
Just a quick question in regards to the cattle and the special taxing districts, because there's not an analysis. Just wondering if there was any large changes in that regard.
It wasn't at the very end because I think we sent that
Oh.
along with our analysis. Yeah, I think it was a very.
I'm sorry if I didn't see it. Okay.
There was some differences. I think cattle went down. It was 10 mills in 2023, and in 2024, it's 9.604. Sheep and goats went down as well. Dairy cattle went down. Of course, the horses, that went down as well, and bison went up. So it looks like maybe one of them went up. Taos soil remained the same at 1 mil. El Prado stayed the same, and El Valle went up a tad bit.
Okay, and my apologies, Christina and Danielle, I didn't catch that. One more last question, I believe. The 3% did not get applied to residential properties this year. Am I correct in saying that? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
sorry. So we kind of mentioned during the maintenance plan that we're kind of swinging a heavy hammer on Tradic as kind of, this is subjective, right? In my experience, Tradic seems to have deteriorated a bit, where some of the capabilities that we had before are not necessarily there. And so we'll, as part of our reappraisal efforts this year, we're going to be selectively applying a 3% increase in those areas that we know there's room for it, rather than doing it at a countywide level, because we had a lot of kind of collateral damage when we did that the last, that required us to undo increases, especially for those properties that aren't included.
Lost you.
You cut out. Daniel.
Can you hear me at all?
Now.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, so I'm not sure how much of that you heard or how much was cut off, but basically this year we're looking at applying more selectively a 3% increase rather than a county-wide increase. It's kind of the short version.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions, Danielle or Christina, regarding the property tax rates? If there are no further questions, what we have before us is approval of the property tax rates for the coming year. Is there a motion to do so?
I will make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill. And is there a second?
I think Commissioner Romero seconded.
Okay, Commissioner Romero second. We have motion and a second, and this is to approve the 2020 tax rates. Is there any further discussion or questions? If not, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Romero? Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascarenhas?
Yes.
Chair Romero?
Yes. Okay, motion is passed and the property tax rates have been approved. Thank you all thank you, Christina and Danielle for your presentation. Thank you, commissioners, for questions. And if there are no further issues, I guess we're ready for adjournment.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn at 9:17 a.m.
Commissioner
Second.
Brush made a motion to adjourn, second by Commissioner Vehil. In favor, indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you all. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.